thank you for joining us on the Unilag TV Education News Rundown. I am Mifi Akora. On Monday, Pope Leo XIV condemned the attack in Niger State following the mass abduction of nursery and primary school pupils from St. Mary's School in Papri, saying he was deeply pained by the kidnapping and urged the captors to release the hostages unharmed. He stressed that both schools and churches must remain places of safety as families continue to plead for the return of their children. The abduction occurred in the early hours of Friday, November 21st, 2025, when armed men stormed the school and seized 315 students and teachers. Also reacting to the incident, US President Donald Trump highlighted the attack as further evidence of rising threats against Christian communities, referencing his recent decision to designate Nigeria a country of particular concern on issues of religious freedom. Meanwhile, Nigerian security forces continued search and negotiation operations across remote parts of Niger State as families awaited any credible updates. Also on Monday, the West African Examinations Council reaffirmed that the 2026 West African Senior School Certificate Examination will proceed as a computer-based test, saying no directive has been issued to halt the transition. WAEC's Nigeria head Amos Dangote explained that only schools with the required ICT infrastructure will host the pilot phase, while those without adequate facilities will utilize designated community-based centers. Supporters of the transition urge that CBT will reduce malpractice and deliver more efficient assessments, while critics warn that persistent gaps in infrastructure, electricity supply, and internet access could put rural students at a significant disadvantage. On Tuesday, President Bola Tinubu welcomed the release of 24 schoolgirls who were abducted from Government Girls Secondary School, Maga, in Kebbi State. Their freedom followed a series of coordinated security operations that took place days after bandits attacked the school, killed Vice Principal Hassan Makuku, and kidnapped more than 24 students. The president commended the combined efforts of security agencies, local vigilantes, and intelligence teams, saying their work brought relief to the entire nation. He also praised the resilience of the victims and urged communities to remain alert as operations against armed groups continue in the region. Earlier in the week, the House of Representatives presented 20 million naira to the family of the late Vice Principal Makuku, describing him as a hero who died while attempting to protect his students. Authorities say efforts to locate the attackers remain ongoing in an area that has experienced repeated school abductions in recent years. Still on Tuesday, the University of Lagos Alumni Association announced renewed efforts to address the institution's infrastructure challenges. During its annual lecture in Lagos, the association noted that many of Unilag's facilities are overstretched and in need of modernization. It pledged increased support for renovation projects, technological improvements, and student-centered initiatives. University management welcomed the commitment, stating that strengthened collaboration with alumni will be essential in ensuring the institution remains competitive both nationally and internationally. On Wednesday, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund announced it had invested 30 billion naira to strengthen security infrastructure across universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. Executive Secretary Sonny Echono said the funds were used to improve perimeter fencing, expand surveillance systems, upgrade campus lighting, and establish rapid response arrangements with security agencies. He emphasized that these measures are essential as attacks on academic institutions continue to raise national concern, and he reaffirmed Tetfund's commitment to supporting institutions as they implement higher safety standards. Also on Wednesday, the National Association of Nigerian Students said the rise in school abductions reflects what it described as a breakdown in Nigeria's internal security system. NAN's President Olushola Oladoja condemned the recent attacks in Kebbi State, noting that students have become increasingly vulnerable as security forces remain overstretched. The association called on the federal government to overhaul its security architecture, deploy additional personnel to high-risk areas, and strengthen local intelligence networks. In a further development on Wednesday, President Tinubu urged state governments to stop establishing boarding schools in high-risk locations, warning that schools built in isolated or insecure areas are more susceptible to attacks. He emphasized that student safety must guide decisions about where schools are built and renewed his administration's commitment to improving national security. On Thursday, a federal court directed both the federal and state governments to provide free and compulsory basic education for all Nigerian children. The ruling mandates that public primary and junior secondary education be free of charge and requires states to ensure all eligible children are enrolled and attending school. Advocates say the judgment could dramatically increase access to education, especially in rural and underserved communities. Government authorities had not responded publicly at the time of the ruling. Also on Thursday, the Lagos State government announced an expansion of STEM education across public schools. Education Commissioner Jamiu Ali Balogun said the initiative aims to modernize learning by strengthening digital literacy, creativity, and problem-solving skills. The expansion forms part of a broader reform agenda intended to better prepare students for emerging global industries. On Friday, the Academic Staff Union of Universities said it would determine its next course of action after receiving a full briefing from its negotiation team this weekend. ASU branch chairman Olujimi Dada said members have yet to be informed of the details of the union's discussions with the federal government. The union's one-month ultimatum expired last Saturday, raising concerns about a possible industrial action. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education said it has met most of ASU's demands and remains committed to preventing another disruption of the academic calendar. Millions of students, however, remain uncertain as they await the union's decision. Finally, on Friday, the Faculty of Communication and Media Studies commissioned its new public relations and advertising laboratory known as the PRAD Laboratory. The ceremony drew alumni, faculty leadership, industry representatives, including Mr. Lanre Adisa of the Advertising Sectorial Group, a representative of the DG of Archon, Mrs. Eme Akande, as well as students and members of the press. Head of Explicit Communication, Mr. Tunde Tani, highlighted the importance of strengthening collaboration between industry and academia to improve student learning. He said the facility will provide practical exposure in areas such as idea development, strategy, and execution, helping to build student confidence and real-world readiness. The PRAD Laboratory is expected to become a hub of innovative communication practice and hands-on training, including emerging skills in artificial intelligence and applied media work. And that's your weekly education news rundown on Unilag TV. Follow us on all social media platforms at Unilag on TV for more updates. Thanks for watching. I am Nifi Akora.